Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here. Friends, today I'm going to talk to you about Caribou Biosciences. There are a few people who are a little bit panicked about the drop in Caribou share prices, and they asked me what I thought about it, and in response I made a general video. Now this one is specific for Caribou Biosciences. So let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Here's a breakdown of the information about Caribou Biosciences. So we had recent news that H.C. Wainwright downgraded Caribou's price target all the way from 24 to 9. But they maintained a buy rating. This follows updated results from the Antler trial showing promise but lower efficacy than earlier data. The competing therapies like Yescarta by Gilead had better results in similar trials. So despite the downgrade, there are positive developments. CB010 treatment with partial HLA matching shows promise. FDA approved IND application for CB010 for lupus treatment. And Caribou Biosciences has cash to fund operations all the way until Q1 2026. So with a market capitalization of 193.73 million and a revenue growth of 127.41% year over year, when you look at Q1 2024, you will notice that there is a decline of 30.64% in revenue compared to the previous quarter, that is Q1 2023. So the company is in a position of good liquidity. They have more cash than debt, but the stock's RSI suggests it's oversold. And friends, as you would recall that I have always mentioned that when you look at RSI, if I've drawn lines of resistance on the top above 70% and lines of support in the bottom below 30%. I have done that to shares basically because there are some shares that go way beyond 30% on the low side and way above 70% on the high side. So typically in a normal circumstance with a normal healthy share, as soon as the RSI approaches 30%, investors assume that it's the bottom and that the share has been oversold, and therefore they start buying up the shares. And when they start buying up the shares, the RSI moves up, goes above 50%, and when the demand is high, the share may touch around 70% on the RSI. That's when, in a normal situation with a normal stock, investors will say that the share has been overbought, and then they will start selling it. So we use the 30% and the 70% on the RSI as a gauge in normal circumstances. But there are some stocks which are extremely weak from time to time and extremely strong from time to time. Nvidia, for example, its RSI goes all the way up to 81% before it is pushed down. So that's amazing. And then we have had companies like Bluebird Bio and Ginkgo Bioworks where the RSI goes way below 30%. So at the end of this video, I'll look at the RSI for Caribou Biosciences and I'll give you my idea of whether it is having a turnaround soon or not. But Caribou Biosciences is burning through cash quickly, which is a concern from the analyst viewpoint. So when it comes to the analysts, they are mixed on Caribou. H.C. Wainwright downgraded the price target due to lower efficacy data, and Citi is positive on the partial HLA matching treatment and maintains a buy rating. Evercore ISI downgraded Caribou due to strategic challenges. So overall, if you were to look at it, Caribou Biosciences, which is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company with many promising therapies in development, had recent trial results which were lower than expected, and this has led to a bunch of analysts downgrading the stock, and the company has I think a decent cash position, but the way it has to operate, it will have to burn through the cash quickly, and so investors are most likely to see that there is the equity dilution probably in the horizon. So one has to consider their risk and rewards before investing in Caribou Biosciences. And right now I'm going to show you the price chart to look at the RSI before I give you some other inputs from my side, which will be my personal opinion. Well, here we are in the TradingView platform looking at Caribou Biosciences stock, and this is the sharp fall that I'm referring to. It's been a huge gap down, and gap downs are typically filled up, so I would expect that we would keep on moving towards the 9-day exponential moving average, which will also keep on moving towards us to meet the price. So at that point of time, there will be a resistance test. If we cross over the resistance, things could get better for Caribou Biosciences. But if you look at the RSI here, It's very low. The momentum is very low. So I'm going to go back to the past and see how low it has gone before. It has not gone this low, so the turnaround is imminent. I'm going to take a line from here, horizontal line, and I'm going to put it out here. This will be our future benchmark because we have never touched this line before, which is at 14.73%. This is extreme weakness, so we have to turn around. And MACD is bearish right now. The share is looking bad right now at $2.19. So yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. Let me just compress this and come back to Caribou. So this is what the series of resistances look like. I'm going to convert some of these resistance to, oh, this is CRISPR Therapeutics. Where did I go? Caribou Biosciences. So this is where we are. And this is the gap that we are going to try to fill up. I don't have anything more to say about here. Well, there is something that I realized as a retail investor a long time ago. And I'm just going to share my thoughts with you guys. I'm not saying that you guys are like this or whatever. I'm just sharing my thoughts, and you can decide whether you relate to it or whether you understand it or whatever. You put it in the comment so that I can understand how you receive my communication. So I think that when a share price is low, people generally have a tendency to think that there could be big winnings to be made. So if a share is $1 per share and I have got $2,000 to invest, I can get 2,000 shares. I can do a lot of covered calls and stuff like that. And if there is a 1 cent change in the price, then it's going to be 1 cent into 2,000. And that will not happen if I bought a $10 share or $5 share, because I'll have less number of shares. So that's the thought process. And also there is this magical thinking, almost akin to gambling, where people feel that if there's a 65-cent share, for example, you might get attracted to Ginkgo Bioworks for the wrong reason, that it is just 65 cents. And if I got $2,000 and I put into it, I'll get a whole bunch of shares of Ginkgo Bioworks. And when it touches $3 or $4, I'm going to be making a lot of money. So that's another thinking. And another thinking would be that, yeah, I have made profits in different places. I'm just going to park a little bit of money on Ginkgo. It's dirt cheap. I can afford to lose it. Just going to leave it there and see what happens, whether it gets delisted from the exchange or whatever. We'll cross the bridge when it comes to it. So there are people with all these kind of different approaches. Now, what I want you guys to think about is, what is your objective when you come into the trading world? Are you looking at a long-term investment? Are you saving for your retirement? What is your risk profile? How much risk can you undertake? Are you biased to a particular sector? Are you diversified enough? For example, if you own your own house, you got exposure to real estate. And if you buy gold jewelry, like I'm more talking to Indian and Chinese people here who have high carat gold jewelries, and they also buy gold for safekeeping. So you already have exposure to gold. And then if you also are investing in index funds, then you should remember that index funds generally carry a lot of bank stocks and a lot of the big stocks that you find in S&P 500. So if you're investing in NVIDIA and also buying QQQ and also investing in Microsoft, then you are overexposed to those Mag 5s. So all those kind of things you have to remember, and you have to have clarity about who you are. Are you a long-term investor? Are you a day trader? Are you a swing trader? Are you an opportunistic occasional trader? You have to think about all those things, because unless you have a philosophy, unless you have a vision, you cannot have a strategy. And if you don't have a strategy, you're just gambling in the market. And my thought process when my subscriber asked me about what they should do with Caribou, they had bought it around $6 and now it is around $2 something. What should they do? So I always tell investors, learn from my mistakes. In the past, I made mistakes like this. I was listening to analysts online, in the magazines and other places, and I would buy based on that. And then the analyst would move off to some other share, which is the share flavor of the time and so on. And I'm holding this baby which has lost value. So I've experienced that as an investor. If you are in a position where you're asking somebody else whether you should buy something, and somebody else whether you should sell something and at what price or what to do, then you're giving control of your investment to a third party, which is totally wrong. You need to dictate where your investments are going to go. Either they are going to be high risk small caps, or they are going to be low risk bonds. Where is it going to go, right? And in order to do that, you need to know your risk profile. And in order to know your risk profile, you have to consider your age and your retirement goals. So please consider all of these things and then invest. But don't invest before that on an impulse, or because someone asks you to buy something, or you're impressed with something you saw on TV or YouTube. There are a lot of fads going on. There is the Bitcoin fad, there is the AI fad, there is the AGI fad, there is EV fad, green energy fad. So many things are there. Investor, beware. Think, take control of your funds, and have a direction where you're going. Decide who you are. Are you a bull or a bear? Are you a long-term or a short-term investor? So think about all those things, and I can have more substantial conversation about this. Just put it in the comments below and I'll share my experience with you. With that, my friends, I'd like to bring this video to an end. See you later.